Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy and I'm going to talk to you about my experience with the Master of Science in Industrial Organizational Psychology program at Bellevue University. I am just getting done with the third class out of 12. Each class that we take, which is one at a time, is 6 weeks long. So that means that I am in week 19. I think I did my math right there. So the class that I just exited, I'm going to be looking back and forth, so I apologize. Job analysis and performance appraisal. I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what I learned in the class, very high-level overview. Give you a quick scenario based on my work experience, and then talk about some things that I would change if I had a magic wand and could revamp the entire program. So some of the things that we talked about was job analysis, obviously, giving feedback during difficult feedback to employees, performance management, recommendations. Let's see. Oh, this was interesting. The dark side of organizational life, job redesign, positive cultures, barriers to productivity, which was interesting, and then also teams and innovation. So those were just some of the topics that we talked about sprinkled throughout the 6 weeks that we were in that class. Some of the things that I took away from this class was the importance of ensuring that a job description gives enough detail so that when performance management systems are designed, they know what specific behaviors to look for based on the job description. So that way, when a manager is evaluating an employee, they can give specific feedback about what the employee is doing well, what they should continue to do, what they should stop doing, so on and so forth. It also helps to give an understanding to why certain questions should be asked in an interview setting. And then it also helps for the recruiters to be able to communicate what the job entails. So that way there's a realistic preview of what applicants would be doing should they receive an offer. One of the things that we did in the class that I liked was that we had a case that we dealt with the entire 6 weeks that we were in the course. It was specific to revamping pretty much some things that were happening for an organization that wanted to improve or compete in a different marketplace. So we had to look at jobs or specific jobs and talk about ways that we would analyze or observe the job being done, describe the job based on what we've observed. How do we engage different stakeholders during that process, so that way when the observation is done, when the data is collected, we put forth a job description that matches where the company or the organization is going. And again, that has a trickle effect because of the performance management system that it would then inform, as well as the recruiting aspect of bringing people in for that specific job. One other thing that we talked about was difficult feedback, especially in an HR position. I think being able to deliver difficult feedback is important. I took a certification on conflict management from a different school, and it talked about the planning portion of having difficult conversations and how important that is. So I thought it was pretty cool to see from a research-based view how to have difficult conversations and kind of the things that people go through psychologically when those conversations are happening, and how to better have or facilitate those conversations. We also talked about something that's always talked about in psychology, it seems, the Hawthorne studies and motivation. Essentially, when people are being monitored or observed, they're going to do their job. And then, let's see, counterproductive work behaviors. I didn't say that before. That was pretty interesting to talk about. Those behaviors that prevent the organization from being as successful or as productive as it possibly could be. It could be not sending reports on time. It could be intentionally not communicating, just things that people shouldn't be doing in the workplace but do based on the environment that they're in. And typically, I guess if the organization has a culture that suggests that those behaviors are okay because they haven't been addressed, then you do get those poor behaviors and then productivity is constrained. So let's say, for the scenario's sake, that I am starting a new part of the organization that I work for, and I am tasked with writing the job descriptions. I am tasked with creating a performance management system, so that way those who are in the job have a way for them to know how well they're doing. Some of the things that I would do, not to get too in depth, is talk to various stakeholders of that new department. So, for example, I might talk to finance to talk about how this role would impact the financial aspects of the business. I might talk to learning and development to see what are some of the things that it's important for, or what are some of the ways that the organization has found best for new departments that are created to be trained. Or I might talk to the HR department and say, or specifically HRBPs, to say, okay, well, what are some of the issues that we've had when new organizations or departments have been formed? And then as I collect that information, I would then start to ask questions about how this role contributes to where the company is going. And then when I understand that, if there's somebody who's in a similar role, I might observe them. And then I might grab some of those stakeholders that I talked about. We observe them collectively and then talk about our findings. And then that gives us the ability to write those job descriptions. Of course, there's some other legwork in between that, like identifying the scope of the role, so what the role ideally would and would not be doing, and so on and so forth. From a performance management aspect, I would then look at behaviors. We talked about bars in one of the previous classes that I had, that is in the program. And being able to pinpoint specific behaviors that can be observed and spoken to, so that way as job appraisals are being done, we're having those performance conversations. The manager is able to guide these employees who are in a new role towards success. When you don't have those effective conversations, then that slows the employee's ability to do the job well. And then the organization or the larger corporation would not have the ability to meet its mission and vision and thus its strategic objectives. I hope that helps a little bit. When you don't have those effective conversations, when you don't check certain behaviors, then people start to do bad things like dark behaviors. They start excluding people out of certain projects. They start taking credit for people's work. They start, being a dysfunctional leader. And then, of course, that impacts everybody, So those are some of the things that we talked about in the class scenario based on my experience to kind of help you place some of those topics, and then some feedback about the program. I hope this isn't too long, actually. So I would greatly enjoy if there was a required weekly video from the professor to set the tone for the week, to give examples of what they're expecting, to offer an opportunity for maybe a live session via Zoom to just really discuss about some of the topics and to really talk about the things that we're struggling with. I find that not having that live option and or that ability to get guidance from the professor inhibits my learning experience and demotivates me to do the required learnings or readings. I find that professors that are not as active as other professors have a negative impact on the learning experience based on what I just said. Consistent feedback is something that I would like, and when I say consistent feedback, more timely feedback is something that I would like. Granted, I recognize that we're all going through something really major. I get life happens, but when it becomes a pattern over a 6 week time frame, that can really hinder one's ability to learn. So the things that I would change is requiring a weekly video from professors, and then also an option for a live class to talk about some of the topics, and then also a requirement for professors to give timely feedback and then also to respond in the event that somebody sends them an email. I won't go too in depth there, but just some experiences that I've had over the past course. Is this program helping me? Absolutely, it is helping me. I do feel that so far in the 3 courses that I've been in, that I've learned way more, or I know way more than I did when coming into the program. It's a difficult course or a program. It's a lot of material to uncover, but I do feel that I will be a value add when I come out of the program. The current course that I'm in now, if I can get to the course overview, is Applied Organizational Psychology. So one of the questions that was asked, and I'm going to start wrapping up now, in the beginning, in the first week, is are you someone who leans towards the I side of IO psychology or the O side? I would definitely be the O side. I like the touchy-feely motivation, needs being met, behaviors, and all that kind of stuff. That's probably why I wasn't too fond of the last class, which would be the job analysis, the harder side of IO psychology. It seems to be a really good class so far. I guess my mind is opening up to being receptive of the material, so I'm probably going to like it and be motivated to do the work. Some of the topics that I see, social capital, which was an interesting topic about relationships and how, similar to human capital, that people, when they interact and when they have positive relationships and when there's trust, things or work can get done. It looks like more talk about diversity and inclusion, which is very important. Trust, which is super important. And communication, fostering motivation to work collaboratively, which is super important. It can't be a one man or one woman job. That just isn't going to work. And then organizational justice on social capital. So that'll be interesting to learn about as well. So I hope that this video helps you to see that I am learning within the Master of Science program, Master of Science in Industrial Organizational Psychology. Sorry for the late update. Sorry for the lengthy video. Yeah, have a great day.